Hello and welcome to the Unstoppable Joy Podcast, your roadmap to a joy-filled life. I'm your host, Kathryn McAdam. I'm a nurse practitioner, author, and Christian speaker who has also experienced the heartache of marriage to a drug addict, divorce, single parenthood, and homelessness. Most of all, I'm an overcomer who can completely understand what you're going through and speak life into your situation. It's my desire to bring hope and encouragement that you too can live a life of unstoppable joy, no matter what life hands you. Now, I'm not here to give you pat answers or cliche scripture verses. I'm here to honestly share with you the mindset hurdles and the spiritual and emotional barriers I had to overcome on my journey to becoming a comeback queen. I believe as I share my story and those of my guests, you too will be able to find your unstoppable joy. So, pull up a chair, grab your favorite beverage, and let's get started. Hi, long time no see.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to have Joe on the podcast today just so we can kind of have more of a conversation instead of me just rattling off information. We have some very exciting news, and that is that I will be opening up a practice as a functional medicine practitioner. And so, just to kind of give you an idea about what that is and what that entails, Joe's going to give me some questions here, and we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of what is happening in our lives in the next few months here. So, without further ado, here's my very handsome husband, Joe McAdam.
Hello. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Can you explain to your listeners what functional medicine is about and how it differs from conventional medicine?
So, yes, first of all, I am a nurse practitioner, which means I have been trained in the conventional way of medicine. And I've been a nurse for, 15, 16, I guess it's going on 17 years now. So, in all my years as a nurse, I've worked in different areas. One of the very first areas I worked, it was a ventilator unit. And so everybody was vented and trached. And the next area I worked with the nursing home, and I wore a lot of hats at that nursing home and was everything from supervisor to floor nurse to educator and fill in for the unit directors there. And then I moved back to the hospital and worked in the telemetry ICU. And then from there, I worked in surgery, and now here I am a nurse practitioner. And along the way, I've learned a lot of information about how to care for people who are very sick. And I, kind of started like thinking about like the motto of each of these areas. And I would just kind of jokingly say in the ICU, their motto is "We have a tube for that." So no matter what your ailment is, whether you can't breathe, we have a tube for that. If your heart isn't working right, we have a tube for that. They actually put balloons up into people's vessels to help their heart pump better. If you can't eat, we have a tube for that. So you get the picture. Like there's lots of tubes there. Um, in the walk-in clinic, our motto is we have a swab for that. We are always swabbing throats and testing boils and that sort of thing to see what's growing there in order to treat it. In the ER, we have a scan for that. They're always scanning for something. So bring it back around to family medicine is, what I was trained in for as a nurse practitioner, and their motto is we have a pill for that. And I guess I've been a little bit disillusioned by the whole Western medicine way of treating things. As we're trying to put out fires. There is definitely a place for emergent medicine. If someone's having a heart attack, if cut off a limb or you need suturing or something like that, you need immediate medical attention. But what do you do when you go to your doctor and y- all the tests say that you're normal, but you just don't feel well? And that's where functional medicine comes into play. Functional medicine looks at the root cause of some of these disease processes and tries to eliminate them and tries to correct them. So, For instance, just on a very small scale, there have been cases where, a young child is having repeated ear infections, and this is causing him to be put on one antibiotic after another. And as soon as he goes off the antibiotic, he's got another ear infection, and so much so that he's having to be hospitalized because he's so sick, and the parents are missing time from work. And this child went to see a functional medicine practitioner, and they looked at the fact that the child was drinking a lot of cow's milk. And so they did an elimination of that dairy, and then the ear infections cleared up. So it's things like that, not just throwing a medicine or a tablet or, give me a pill for this, give me a pill for that. It's looking at the patient as a whole and looking to try to figure out why that they are having the issue that they are. And functional medicine looks at the entire being. It doesn't just look at your, weight. It doesn't look at what medications you're taking. It looks at like, your background, like what is your ethnicity? What was your stress level like at home growing up? Are there patterns in your life of things that need to be uh, altered in order to empower you to have the type of health in order to allow your body to heal itself? Instead of just throwing another pill at insomnia, we look at patterns in your habits and see if we can help you to overcome that insomnia. Maybe it's a dietary issue, maybe it's a spiritual issue. There's more pieces to the puzzle than just throw a pill at it. And many times people get on these medications and they get stuck on them. Um, Especially for insomnia. Some of those medications can be addicting, and we just create a bigger problem than we fix a lot of times in modern medicine. And like I said, there definitely is a place for modern medicine, but functional medicine just has a different approach, and they are more of a holistic, looking at all aspects of your health, not just your diet or your genetics. Hope that answers the question. That's a lot.
Yes, it did. What inspired you to, I think I know, but to let your listeners know, what inspired you to explore functional medicine in practice and in with yourself and your family?
A few things. So, I guess, gosh, maybe over a year ago, I I love beach body workouts. I've been doing them for, gosh, probably 10, 12 years. And there was a new program that came out called the 4-week gut protocol. And this particular diet and exercise plan deals with food sensitivities and things like gut health and bloating and cramping and just indigestion and constipation, diarrhea. And I was having some of these symptoms, and um, you know I have been in the whole medical field for quite some time, and I would have people come in that say, "Oh, I'm sensitive to gluten, or I have a gluten allergy." And then they would be sitting there eating a McDonald's hamburger during their initial intake. And, I'm just kind of rolling my eyes thinking, oh, these people just want attention, or they just, are making this up. Um, but after doing the gut protocol, I was like, wow, this is a real thing. Like I noticed such a huge difference in my health, in um, um, my how I felt. Like I was sleeping better. I was had better clarity of mind. I didn't have that bloating and that upset stomach all the time when I cut certain things out of my diet. And yep, I am sensitive to gluten, unfortunately, because I absolutely love bread. But um, that kinda just, like, piqued my interest to know, like, gosh, there's more to this than meets the eye. And so that's one thing that got me, kinda opening up to the whole idea of functional medicine. And then the other thing is, like, I, just turned 50 this last year, and, being premenopausal and dealing with hormone swings and anxiety and insomnia, all the things that come, night sweats and hot flashes, all that stuff that comes with being perimenopausal and menopausal, I was really struggling, and I found it was a weight loss system that addressed the hormonal issues and addressed how to get rid of that pooch. And, and when I was in the midst of all of this, I was looking. We were planning our wedding, and I was, going for fittings in my wedding dress, and wanting to look, as beautiful as I could for you, Joe, and feel confident in in my dress, and happy in my own skin. Um, and didn't want to feel uncomfortable or bloated, and just um, wanted to be radiant on that day, of course. But um,
And you
through
were.
that, oh, thanks, honey. Through that, the whole process, again, it just is like, wow, there is so much more that I can be doing for my patients than giving them another pill. Part of the reason that I decided to practice in the walk-in clinic as opposed to doing family medicine is I didn't want to be fighting with people on taking their blood pressure medication and, you know, s taking their pills and making sure that they were getting all their labs done and all this stuff, and I wanted to be able to feel like I was actually doing something to actually help, ensure their health and not just, attributing to, them having to take another pill or be stuck on another medication or dealing with the side effects of one medication that I'd already prescribed for them. There's so much of that that goes on in daily practice. It was just so discouraging to me, and I didn't feel good about what I was being trained to do, actually. And so that's why I kind of geared my focus towards the walk-in clinic because I'm like able to suture people and um, plug your ears, Joe. You drain cysts and all that stuff that, like, I'm not afraid to get dirty and, to do some of that stuff that's kind of fun to me, but, I know, weird, but, uh, I wanted to be able to feel like I was really helping people and being able to, and, like, I guess, uh, promote health instead of, just burying them in pills. So
Yeah, definitely. It seems like some of those pills you see more side effects than what it's actually treating. It's just this the commercials are almost ridiculous. It's crazy.
it's terrifying. Some of those, I mean, they're like, I can't in particular name any one specific, but most of them cause, headache, fatigue, insomnia, stomach ache, diarrhea, cramping, like the list goes on and on and on. Well, it's like, at what point do we stop this cycle of giving what I would consider almost like a poison to fix another problem? You have to deal with the side effects of every medication. It's always a choice, right? And I guess the thing that appeals to me about functional medicine is, yes, they do offer supplements as functional medicine practitioners. We do offer supplements, but it's only geared towards correcting an imbalance so that then you can wean yourself off of those supplements. So it's not like you're going to have to be on this for the rest of your life. Of course, there's maintenance things like, multivitamins, that sort of thing that we encourage, but really like, lifestyle changes, what you're putting in your mouth and how you prepare your food is a big part of health and wellness. And I just feel like there's so much more, I guess, realization of how important our stress levels are and what we're eating and our exercise routines and our daily lives that go into how we feel in general. So, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to be able to share the things that I've learned and, be a promoter of health.
You're kind of getting back to basics, right? You're kind of stripping away all the noise and stuff like that and getting back to the basics of like mental clarity maybe. And does it help with your mental and emotional states at all or you know?
Absolutely, yeah, good question. So, you know, I've thought about this too because, long time ago when I was at MSU, I worked for a doctor who taught in the medical school, and we were discussing like the whole, because at the time, like, everybody was talking about ginkgo biloba and ginseng and mental clarity and that sort of thing using a supplement. And I've been thinking about that. And yes, there is a big variety of quality as far as it comes to supplements. The ones that I offer in my practice are of very high quality. And the question is like, well, how expensive are the supplements? Well, the most expensive supplement is the one that you buy that doesn't work. So if you're buying a cheap brand, which costs less than something that's like pharmaceutical grade, then that's the most expensive supplement that you can buy. But the whole thing about it is that although we are giving supplements, it's a natural substance that your body would normally encounter in nature. It doesn't have other additives. It hasn't been broken down.
But you kind of, I know what you're doing there, um, but you're getting back to basics of the testing too. You're testing the people to see what their individual needs are. So they're not just throwing a fistful of supplements that, the over 51 a day pill or something like that, or you know,
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting down to the core of what their system needs. Is that what I'm understanding? Or
Yeah, absolutely. So we do testing, individualized testing to see where your adrenal levels are, where your thyroid levels are. These are thyroid levels that aren't done by your family doctor in a regular practice. These are more specific and they tell a very specific tale of your health. And then it helps me to be able to formulate a plan to help you to increase your energy, to regulate your hormones, to help your gut health. Just there's such a variety of things that I can do to help the patient with functional medicine in ways that will promote health instead of causing another problem, if that makes sense.
yeah, definitely. And I could see where it would be good for like families. Each person in a family of say four or whatever we've got, like five, everybody has their own unique situation of what they need and what their body needs and their mind. And I mean, it just seems like it's so many ways you can go and help people. It's really exciting.
Mhm. Yeah, it is pretty exciting. I mean, we're looking at being able to help women who are, like I was, struggling with that weight loss after menopause or being perimenopausal and having all these mood swings and the anxiety that comes with that. And, just the stress hormones, just balancing those to men with their testosterone levels that are low, kids that are dealing with anxiety, depression, that sort of thing. As I've mentioned before on the program so first of all, I want to say functional medicine is scientific based. And it's crazy all of the information that we have coming forth about our gut health. And I talked about this last week on the podcast because I just feel like it's so important. Our gut health is crucial to our immune system, is crucial to our mood and mental capacity. They have found that up to like 90% of our serotonin is produced in our gut. And if you don't have the proper microbes in your gut, you cannot produce that serotonin. And so, just to give you an idea of functional medicine approach as opposed to traditional medicine approach, if you go to your doctor's office, if you're having some depression or anxiety, they will put you on a pill. And that pill then blocks the reuptake of the serotonin in your brain. So instead of treating it at the end organ, which is your brain, a functional medicine provider will look at your gut and what is in your gut, what microbes you have. Do you have parasites? Do you need more good microbes? Do you need to get rid of the bad microbes? Do you have a candida overgrowth, that sort of thing? And they work to correct that. So then your body can naturally produce that serotonin and that dopamine that you need to help improve your mood. So I'm not saying, I definitely, I'm not telling anybody if you are on medications, do not just stop them cold turkey. You work with your doctor to wean yourselves off of these if you can, and find a good functional medicine provider and sign up to work with them to help you to optimize your health and your well being and live a life that is free of the burden of some of these medications that we tend to get stuck on.
Very nice. What is your what is your future plans here? What's coming up?
So we are starting now to take applications for people that would like to work with me, whether you have a issue with your gut health, whether that is having issues with mental clarity, whether it's having issues with insomnia, whether you're struggling with weight loss. I would like to see if I can work with you to help you regulate some of these processes. I talk a lot about the physical health and the things that we can do in the natural to take care of ourselves, to promote health. But there's also a huge spiritual side to my practice, and that is dealing with things that, the Lord has given us a kind of a blueprint in the Bible, and He addresses things related to our health. One of the things that He says is bitterness rots the bones. There's a lot of wisdom in the scriptures that I draw from, and helping people to overcome past hurts, past tragedies, and being able to forgive and let go of things and find freedom in Christ, and freedom in their spiritual life as well as health in their bodies. So, functional medicine, like I said, it looks at the whole person, not just, your physical health. It looks at your emotional, your relational, your spiritual health as well. Your emotional, mental, physical. You're more than just your body, right? There's many parts to you as a person, and a lot of times we carry stuff from our past, and that can make us feel heavy, and it can negatively affect our health if we don't properly deal with those things. So.
Very nice. That's exciting. Anything else you'd like to add? Or
So in the link below, or in the notes below, we'll have a link to sign up to schedule an appointment with me and an application process. I can only take so many patients at a time. And in order to do so and make sure that we are a good fit for each other, I do an application process. And so we'll if you want to work with me, or if you'd like to hear more about what I have to offer, please reach out to me at kathrynmcadam.com. You can go to my website where you'll see more information about my practice hours and what I have available for treatment.
sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks for being a part of this, honey.
You bet. Have a great day.
Right, you too. Bye.
Hey, before you go, make sure you click and subscribe to the podcast so you'll never miss an episode. Leave us a review. That would be so helpful to have other people find this podcast. Also, head on over to my website, kathrynmcadam.com, where you can find all kinds of information about the things I'm doing, how to book me as a speaker, and you can find all the happenings of what I'm up to these days. And leave your prayer requests for me. I would love to cover you in prayer. Go ahead and click the link in the show notes. Hope to see you there. Be blessed.